fucking loud. What the fuck? So loud, man. Hardballs, Viking, Katako, EDM, Shala Beef, Percent, a Salad Joy with the 4 years. Thank you very much, man. Enjoy the batch and welcome back. Let's pop a Mad Moon. So don't fall asleep during these fucking new releases. I pull out. Actual iPod ad. The fuck?
Thank you all for joining us for the second annual Tribeca Games Spotlight.
Several of Tribeca's selections this year are second acts as well. Sequels that return to worlds or characters that we love, and fresh perspectives and new adventures.
Some tell stories about family, cultural identity, and coming of age as a child, a teen, or an adult facing a world that never stops changing.
They invite us to investigate mysteries and navigate familiar yet dangerous terrain, or simply just cook a meal with people we love.
Others explore our fears about the future through dystopian tales of environmental ruin or technology. Others explore our fears
but all
about
of them
the
offer
future.
us an opportunity to think, play, and challenge.
Laggy. Don't at me, bitch.
A much needed break from the worries of our daily lives, or an experience that tells us something true about what it means to be alive.
Whatever you're looking for, chances are you're gonna find a little bit of it in these games.
Here are the 2022
We'll see.
Tribeca Games selection.
We'll see.
It isn't always easy going back to the place where you grew up. For Jala, the star of Thirsty Suitors, going back home for her sister's wedding means that she's going to be facing unresolved issues with her family, her friends, and a string of angry exes. As Jala, you're going to be forced to confront everything that you have been avoiding through cooking challenges and colorful turn-based battles, where you're going to be face-to-face with the biggest adversary of all, the decisions you made in the past. Hope your bag is packed. It's time for a trip back home with Thirsty Suitors.
Outer Loop Games is a fully remote studio that we started 5 years ago with the idea of making games about underrepresented cultures and themes.
The studio is about 15 folks, and we're scattered from Seattle, Washington to Vancouver, to the UK, Toronto, east coast of US, like New York, and then 2 in Brisbane. Our first project was a game called Falcon Age. It's an action-adventure game about raising a falcon and fighting colonizers.
Falcon Age was the first time I personally have ever worked closely with someone else who's brown and South Asian on a team. I'd been in the industry for about 8 years by that point, so that's actually pretty shocking when you think about it. And I think one of the great things about that for me was the kind of conversations you can have, the kind of work that you can do, and you're coming from a similar basis and a similar background and experience. That's why I was really excited about working on Thirsty Suitors.
Hey y'all. You've been reckless with other people's hearts for so long, Jala. It was a matter of time before you wrecked your own. Morning, Ma.
Thirsty Suitors is an action-adventure RPG about immigrant culture, resolving relationships, family pressure, and finding oneself.
Timber Hills, our hometown. I still don't get why we're back here.
Jala is an extremely relatable character for anyone who's really had that moment of moving away from home and then coming back. She sometimes isn't quite aware of the things that she's doing in terms of like hurting people.
Maybe I should just call Tyler and get it over with. I mean, yes, Tyler's your ex-bestie, but she's also your ex. The ex.
She's kind of a hot mess at the beginning of the game, and that sets up an interesting dynamic for the player to get to know each of her exes.
What? Your third grade boyfriend just walked in the door.
And?
Every time you battle one of your exes, they go into their own inner space, like a fantasy land.
You look surprised to see me, Jala. Or are you just admiring the view? So the way we design combat is based on like a non-violent beating up of each other. What I consciously did was not to have any punches that connect. All the props are being used as thrown objects, or punches and kicks exist, but they only exist in the form of like a holographic fist that comes out.
Come on, Sergio. Let's dance.
Did I mention I spent a year abroad? I learned a lot of new moves in Milan.
Trying to distract me with your chest hair is definitely cheating.
When we started thinking about the visual inspiration, it was about coming up with a style that matched the lightheartedness and the theme of the game. That I wanted to create artwork that felt light, that felt bold, graphic, with vivid colors.
I love you, Jala. I have loved you since our hands met reaching for the same tub of lime green Play-Doh in 3rd grade.
Love me? This is the longest conversation we've had in over a decade.
I enjoyed the fact that this game is about reconciliation, because that's something that a lot of people don't get to do in real life.
I'm sorry I came on so strong, Jala. I've had this fantasy of you in my head for so long. It's time I got to know the real you. I'm ready to move on if you are.
I'm glad we figured that out.
Move on from what? 3rd grade relationship?
Food plays a large role in the culture.
What the
And a large
fuck?
role in learning things from your parents and being able to pass those on. And it's a part of Jala's journey, being able to reconcile that relationship with her parents. It's an outlet for her to be able to do that on their grounds and, you know, reconnect with her culture.
Skate forward, though.
Skating session in our game is supposed to be really easy and accessible. I didn't want to make like a hardcore skate simulator. So the way I've designed the game is to make the players be able to do fun-looking things like wall run grinds and other acrobatic tricks on a skateboard without the complexity of button inputs.
Yeah, we wouldn't want button
we're making this
inputs.
game, we want it to feel very familiar to immigrants and people of color and particularly like South Asians, so that they can see themselves. But I think it's also a very enjoyable act of like speculation and fantasy for anyone else, you know, come be part of this. We're making a role-playing game. Part of the pleasure of that is in inhabiting someone else and living their life. And I think that's kind of what we want to give players, this idea of being very grounded in Jala, this very specific character, and her story and her personality, some of which is shaped by her culture and some of which is who she is.
Not the chapel! No!
Imagine a world where the richest people on the planet move to Mars in the midst of a climate catastrophe. In the Cub, that's the question facing a child who has found a way to survive in the ruins of a mutated Earth. But when the ultra-rich return on an expedition, they may get a lot more than what they bargained for.
Space game, space game, space game.
Demagogue Studio is a group of filmmakers, writers, architects, musicians, animators and developers who make interactive experiences for a generation that might just live to witness the end times. We started experimenting with a couple of satirical games that led to Golf Club Wasteland, our first commercial success. Currently, we Demagogues are working on 2 games, one of which is a prequel and sequel to Golf Club Wasteland, a 2D cinematic platformer called The Cub. The Cub is essentially the Jungle Book set in an urban Silicon Valley-like apocalypse.
Come on. Donkey Kong.
After the Great Climate Catastrophe, the ultra-rich have evacuated to Tesla City on Mars.
Tesla City?
The rest of us died.
Really?
Years later, when a research mission revisits Earth, they spot a human-like mutant kid while playing golf. Upon discovering the Cub, the science expedition turns into a relentless safari-like hunt The kid ducks and dives through urban ruins. The little barbarian bastard has a plan.
I'm the son of no one. I am the son of no one.
While traversing this vibrant post-apocalyptic world, the cub
kid.
wears a space helmet he scavenged from a dead Martian. The helmet airs Radio Nostalgia from Mars, a radio station based on Mars, streaming music and stories of Tesla City dwellers' memories of their former home, Earth.
Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
The radio callers are nostalgic for our today. This is future archaeology, future retro, a sci-fi scenario that prompts us to re-evaluate the things we already have today, from friends and family to basic things like air and water. As Marshall McLuhan would say, we march backwards into the future. Similarly, the brutalist architecture in the environment serves many non-obvious functions. Brutalism stands for the 20th century and its apocalyptic war history. It stands for faith in large-scale progress through technology that spans multiple ideologies, which led to breakthroughs, but also to pollution and climate change.
Yes, you did, man.
In the 21st century, we have a brutalism of the soul, a
Makes me
reordering
feel
of the
better.
human psyche through the internet, as exemplified in the millennial pink neons peppered throughout our game's cityscapes, such as digidopamine or doom scrolling. Modernist architecture looks powerful, yet it's already turning into ruins.
I
just
wanted
as humanity
gaming to be
might.
mainstream so I wouldn't be mocked for it. I didn't realize it meant women
The game is
and
an homage
non-white
to
people
cinematic
would
platformers
actually
such
play
as Heart
games.
of Darkness,
Now
but also
they are
old-school
even
Sega
making
games like the
games
Jungle
for
Book
people
or
who
Aladdin.
aren't me. All this just so I wouldn't be mocked for playing games.
And you still get mocked because you're bad at them, right? Cobra Juggy, Dumpster Bear,
Further
Tim Let
inspiration
Fall,
is drawn
Nellis,
from
definitely
classic
not
literature,
Chris, Sandra
cinema
Powell with
and
3 years,
popular
thank you very much,
culture.
man, enjoying the badge.
A reflection on our commitment to storytelling and world building. The game has numerous interactive objects to find that enrich and inform the narrative, and also poke fun at future and current events at the same time. Hopefully, the game will make people feel, open the players' minds, and thereby bring a change in global politics and a universal bliss for all humanity.
Yes.
You know, what platformers are best at. Enlightenment.
Get this
of
to
the
solve
soul.
the climate crisis.
In 1998, the fates of two families converge at a motel in the Arizona desert, where a robbery gone wrong changes all of their lives forever. As the tale unfolds over the next few decades, step into the shoes of multiple characters to decide how that night will alter the course of their lives through a unique art style featuring actors digitally integrated into a beautiful cinematic world. This is As Dusk Falls.
Hello, I'm Caroline.
And I'm Charu. We're excited to be here and we'd love to tell you more about Interior Night and our game As Dusk Falls.
Oh, hey there. Got your car towed back for you. You were right. It's more than I can fix with duct tape and a socket wrench.
What do I owe you?
Nothing. Your guests.
Get it round back, quick! What in the world? On the ground, now! I said get on the ground!
As Dusk Falls is an interactive story, the decisions you make do have consequences. Our story is a crime drama that explores the intertwined lives of two families over 30 years. We have the loving family, the Walkers.
So, what's next? License plate game? Another round of row, row, row your boat?
And the Halls, which are the more desperate family.
Come on. This is 2-Rock, not NYPD Blue. Now get looking for that safe.
As you play the game, you will be stepping in the shoes of different characters. First, Vince, the dad, who is rooting his family to Missouri.
You are my flock, and I plan to herd you to St. Louis in high spirits.
And on their way in Arizona, they get caught in a hostage situation. There's also Jay, who is one of the members of the other family, the hostage takers, so you get to understand the world from his perspective.
Jay! What? Head out of the clouds, little bro. Look, there's enough cash in that safe to put the last few weeks behind us. We stay alive, we keep the house, everything goes back to normal.
There's our third main character, who is Zoe.
Daddy, are we gonna play?
You bet we're gonna play.
Who you see across the 6 chapters from when she's 6 until she's 19, and she's becoming this young woman.
That's one hell of a time skip.
The visual art style of our game is unique, and it was crafted especially to tell this compelling story. It mixes beautifully painted 2D characters and sets them in an evocative 3D world. We filmed genuine and nuanced performances from actors to capture complex emotions and facial expressions. Players don't look at pixels, they watch people in all their humanity.
When it comes about writing the story, we work probably a bit more like TV. So it's a very long process. It's dozens of versions of script. So it's not a linear one version of the story. We have to think all the choices, all the narrative space, all the branches feeding into one another. It's kind of a 3D map.
How could you have thought you'd be happier without your family? I mean, without mine, I'd be...
I don't know. I guess I just never liked being tied down. With a family, I felt...
trapped.
We wrote every character from a place of empathy, and we try not to be judgmental towards any of them. We try to understand each of them. And I hope the players will feel the same way and try to empathize and understand and relate with all of them.
Did you get the money? Oh, we got it all right. Nice work, guys. Hold on tight.
I mean...
Family meals are a time not just to create memories.
Maybe it's playable,
but to share.
ironically.
For Venba, the mother of the family, cooking is a way to connect to the culture and the life that she has left behind, and pass those memories on to her young son. Each recipe she teaches him is not just a list of ingredients, but a piece of a much larger story about where he comes from, who his family is, and the challenges they face. Here's a taste of what's to come in Venba.
How did you get started in game development? Well, basically, I took a quiz online to figure out what my career should be back when I was in high school, and after I did the quiz, it said I should be a video game developer.
We were working on this project called Balloon Man. It was this Mega Man style boss rush game about this depressed superhero whose superpowers are only to make balloons. We were a couple of months into the project when Abby texted me this paragraph pitch of Venba. I remember the day I was eating at a restaurant with my mom and my sister.
Feel strong man, my legs got blown up by need for this. Feel strong man, my legs got blown up by need for this. Feel strong man, my legs got blown up by need for this. Feel strong man, my legs got blown up by need for this. What the fuck?
Be exploring the story of this family and the unique challenges that they face.
And the idea resonated with me so much. Maybe because my mom was there, I felt a connection to the idea because it's about a mother and a son. It was too compelling to not work on, so we decided to move on to Venba.
Venba at its core is about the relationship between the mother and the son. One aspect that we wanted to touch upon was the loss of language. As Cuphead grows up here and grows more assimilated, he loses touch with his mother tongue Tamar, and he adopts English instead. So as a result, the literal communication between Venba and Coven is quite broken. And you can see this in the recipe book
a little bit like lyric.
Venba by her mother as well, because in the travel, the words and the pages get damaged, so as a result, the communication between generations there too is quite broken. Venba, who feels a lot of guilt for having moved to Canada in the first place, doubles down on the things she holds dear, like her culture, her language, her food, the longer she stays here. So it becomes really important for her.
Monkellers, I love gaming in 2022 Monkellers. I love gaming in 2022 Monkellers. I love gaming in 2022. Holy shit, I thought yesterday's showcase was bad. This is so shit, it's impressive.
We very rarely ate outside food, so cooking was very important. Everything was made from scratch and daily. And unlike Venba, there were no recipes. Food was just made by testing, taste, improvising, and asking around.
The cooking gameplay specifically was a big challenge for us. Most cooking games that we know take a lot of the physical elements of cooking, like chopping an onion or flipping a pan, and turn those into actual gameplay mechanics. This didn't really fit the theme and the story of Venba, and that's where the damaged recipe book idea came to fruition. We thought that a puzzle-based cooking game made for a much more compelling and appropriate gameplay mechanic.
Come on!
I wanted the sound effects to be really realistic and reminiscent of a South Asian kitchen. I recorded like the dishware that we use, some utensils, just items from the kitchen. But that also involves a lot of recording of actual cooking. I wanted the sounds to be very nostalgic for those that grew up in a similar background.
What, eating food?
I wanted this emotional impact to come across through sound.
Nostalgic.
The music in this game, it primarily comes from an in-game radio influenced by Tamil movies and music that were a huge part of my life growing up. And we took a lot of effort to make sure that the songs sound like something you would hear back home when you would turn the radio on. It was the hardest thing for me to choose what recipes get showcased in the game. It's impossible to do justice to the wide range of dishes and cuisines that we have. Instead, I just focused on what recipes would make for fun gameplay puzzles and what ingredients would this family have living in Toronto.
Even though the story of Venba is pretty firmly rooted in Tamil culture, we think it hits on some pretty universal themes.
The influences for this game, it primarily draws from the stories of the families that I see here, especially the relationship between first-generation parents and their children.
We're hoping that in the future we'll keep being able to tell these kinds of intimate stories.
Holy shit, these games make me want to just go outside instead and just play fucking Cooking Mama for the D's. That shit is top tier compared to this low H.
Innocence invited audiences
Cooking
into
Mama
the
for
world
the
of Amicia,
Nintendo DS.
teenage girl living in
I don't know
14th
the
century
fuck that
France. As Amicia, you had to use courage and cunning to protect your 5-year-old brother Hugo from
Hey
soldiers
Phoenix,
of
welcome
French
back. Cuphead with the
Inquisition,
98
swarms
months.
of rats carrying the Black
Goddamn.
Plague, and the supernatural evil
And Assyrian with
coursing through Hugo's
84 years.
Now, Amicia and Hugo are back in a new adventure.
Thank you very
called
much,
A
man.
Plague
Join the
Tale
badge.
Requiem.
Mr. Forsen
Get ready
gets
for
some Forsen
hand-to-hand
Classic
battles
streams.
on ruined castles,
Forsen
thrilling
Classic
adventures on the
streams. I don't
high
know what the
seas.
fuck that is.
and
You're
yes,
speaking in fucking
more
tongues
rats
today.
than ever.
Reading script. In Zerner Perdic with 1 year. Monk left. Nice games. And this fucking game got a fucking sequel, man. I'm fucking furious, dude. This game was so bad when I played it. I finished it, but it was so fucking bad. I don't understand why it got such good reviews. I have no fucking clue.
Au départ, c'est 12 passionnés qui fondent le studio limite dans un garage. Évidemment, aujourd'hui, on est 250.
The AI was fucking
on a été
retarded.
rejoint par 250 passionnés aussi.
It was the same kind of fucking dodges and fucking stealth movement. Maybe I just hate stealth games. Maybe I just fucking hate stealth games.
The bite, yes. They brought the arena down. They let them die here.
Starting all over again.
Plague Tale, c'est notre bébé à nous. C'est en tant que studio indépendant, c'est la première fois qu'on se lançait vraiment dans quelque chose on va dire de personnel, d'intime à l'équipe. On a commencé vraiment de la feuille blanche au départ. Donc on voulait un jeu d'aventure, un third person action adventure. Et on s'est dit qu'en fait notre meilleure chance c'était de partir de notre spécificité de français en fait. On est dans un pays chargé d'histoire, Bordeaux est chargé d'histoire, on vit tous les jours dans des murs qui ont plusieurs centaines d'années. Et c'est quelque chose qu'on manipule avec justesse, et ce qui nous a permis de donner au jeu une identité vraiment forte et de s'écarter un peu du côté héroïque fantasy et d'aller dans quelque chose de plus cru qui corresponde exactement à la nécessité de construire une histoire qui s'ancrait dans le réel pour mieux partir dans le fantastique et dans l'émotionnel quand c'était nécessaire.
I don't know what's happening to me, Lucas. I feel my mind going.
Une grande sœur, un petit frère, c'est quelque chose qui résonne en nous, qui va parler un peu à tout le monde. Et donc ça a été vraiment le point de départ. Hugo et Amicia, ça a été les premiers personnages qui sont nés.
Amicia, la grande sœur, et sa manière d'appréhender un petit frère dont elle n'avait pas la charge et où tout d'un coup elle va en avoir toute la responsabilité. Hugo, qui est un jeune enfant qui ignore tout du monde et en réalité est chargé d'un pouvoir et qui le dépasse. Et comment ce duo va grandir ensemble et réaliser l'histoire beaucoup plus grande qu'eux qui est en train de se réaliser, dont ils sont les acteurs principaux.
It's bleeding again.
Yes, we should fix that before it gets infected, I guess.
Amicia, donc c'est une jeune fille, c'est pas une guerrière, donc le gameplay de Plague, c'est un gameplay plus orienté sur l'infiltration et la survie. Le but étant toujours d'être plus malin que ses ennemis pour survivre, que ce soit les rats ou des ennemis humains. Après, Amicia, il y a des moments où elle va devoir combattre, elle va devoir faire face, donc avoir des phases plus orientées.
Yeah, this game was really buggy as
well. The real question is how old is this girl in this game? I feel like that needs to be said.
L'évolution du personnage, donc son rapport à la violence, son rapport au monde, à chaque fois est nourri par la variété de ses séquences. Le contexte de la peste était intéressant parce qu'il était vecteur d'émotions et de danger pour les enfants. Mais incarner une maladie, c'est jamais très évident, surtout dans un jeu vidéo. On doit avoir une adversité pour pouvoir lutter contre quelque chose.
I don't know.
Donc on a utilisé la représentation la plus symbolique de la peste qui était ça faisait une belle incarnation de la maladie, mais pour que ce soit impressionnant et qu'on ait cette sensation de propagation, il en fallait des milliers. Il fallait qu'on ait ces rats qui se déversent dans les champs, dans les forêts, pour montrer la maladie qui progresse et qui ravage tout sur son passage. Donc les rats sont une version amplifiée d'une maladie qui se propage. C'est à la fois une menace mais un outil pour Amicia, c'est-à-dire que grâce au pouvoir d'Hugo, grâce à ses outils à elle-même, elle va pouvoir utiliser les rats pour progresser parfois. Mais souvent, elle va devoir faire face aussi pour trouver un moyen de les traverser.
Yeah, I remember now. It was always this fucking shit-ass light puzzles with fucking moving the rats.
Qu'on a quand on regarde une série, la retranscrire en
Same for fucking AIs looking for you.
Assez large. C'est vraiment une architecture globale qui vient rythmer tout le jeu et bien sûr la narration vient se coller à ça au plus près. Alors chaque fois avec des challenges différents parce que sur les phases d'exploration, on a toute la liberté au niveau des dialogues, etc. Parce qu'on sait que dès que le joueur va rentrer dans une phase de combat, là, il va beaucoup plus focaliser sur ce qu'il est en train de faire. Donc c'est à nous de pondérer, de se dire ok, ce qui est important, on va aller le raconter plutôt ici, on va laisser faire le gameplay. Et donc tout ça se fait avec Kevin. Enfin voilà, c'est une discussion qui est permanente au fil de 3 ans de production.
I have no idea how this game got such a high fucking
You should sit
rating.
down. Oh, so that's all you have to say? Come on. You can do better than that. You have a whole garrison here, why don't you really let yourself go? Stop! No! Do you see the situation we're in? We were just supposed to get herbs.
Faire plein de projets nous a obligés à avoir des outils à la fois à la pointe de la technologie mais très modulables. Et le fait d'avoir par exemple notre équipe engine à la maison, ça nous permet d'aller les voir directement et dire on a un challenge relatif au jeu qu'on est en train de développer et il nous faut un moyen de le solutionner et ça permet d'atteindre des prouesses comme par exemple les gigantesques hordes de rats qu'on voit déferler sur les villes dans les trailers ou des choses comme ça.
Mais après, on a vu aussi nos faiblesses à certains endroits, notamment, puisque il a fallu s'en rendre compte, hein, les cinématiques qui demandaient une logistique très lourde. Donc en fait, on a vraiment investi sur un studio motion capture qui nous appartient et qui nous a permis d'avoir une énorme flexibilité en termes de tournage.
I don't know what's happening to me, Lucas. I feel my mind going.
Donc Olivier de Rivière, notre compositeur, c'est quelqu'un qui amène énormément de choses dans le jeu. Et donc il arrive et il a plein d'idées. Et là, on parle vraiment d'émotion, on parle vraiment de comment colorer des scènes donc avec de la musique.
Et il y a des moments où il nous sort des compositions incroyables. Et on regarde le level en face ou la séquence en face, on se dit tiens, c'est super ce qu'il a fait, mais nous on n'est pas au niveau du coup. Donc il va falloir se battre un peu pour remonter.
I think the graphics and music or whatever was good, but
ça marche dans les deux sens.
L'amour vis-à-vis de nos personnages, c'est une chose qu'on ressent nous au quotidien. Et moi je sais que dans le travail d'écriture, c'est quelque chose qui est fondamental. On veut rien faire gratuitement. On sait que le jeu peut être très très noir, très très dur, mais il y a toujours une raison à ça. Ça suit vraiment une forme de logique.
À chaque fois qu'on écrit quelque chose ou qu'on réalise quelque chose pour Requiem, quand ça sonne faux ou quand ça passe pas, on sait que Hugo ou Amicia nous disent non, j'aurais pas dit ça, j'aurais pas agi comme ça. Et donc c'est amusant parce qu'ils font le jeu avec nous en fait un peu.
Would His Majesty allow us to enter the city by his side? I allow.
When Cuphead came out in 2017, the first thing people noticed was the
2017 was half a decade ago.
Inspired by the golden age of American animation where every frame was drawn by hand. Now, Cuphead is back with a new adventure called Delicious Last Course with a whole bunch of new enemies and ways to die and a new
Easy for
heroine
instance,
Ms.
dance
Chalice.
butted uppermost, butted uppermost, Minorist Manchuri, Fast Wooden Dorothy, and White Sauce Ledas, Main Girls Lobby, Soloist Strati, Malmano Cantelabro, Cax Lassie, Michael Bovike, Lassie Tema, Pinks Killer Dog Sita, Nato.
After the first game released, we had that itch to go back and revive some of the material that landed on the cutting room floor.
Well, looks like it's bon voyage to our old pals Cuphead, Bugman, and the lovely Miss Chalice. They're off on their next adventure, this time to the fabled DLC Island.
The Delicious Last Course is more fantastical cartoon action. It's a true second helping of screen-filling, boss battles, imaginative stages, and new powers. This new adventure and expansion lets us really give Ms. Chalice a chance to shine. We had always envisioned her playing a really important role as part of the main trio of heroes. This was our opportunity to further explore animation, music, gameplay homages, all of which we didn't get to in the first game. The origin of the original Cuphead character, we probably went through about 300 concepts.
It's
we began
$8.
brainstorming in the 1930s tradition of giving inanimate objects faces and personalities.
Not a lot, so I'm guessing it's quiet.
Really wanted to
we have the technology to explore the edges of human imagination. Incredible, complex worlds with environments that we can never experience in real life, with challenges that are hard and meaningful. And we use it to simulate family life in Canada.
Began to take form that would eventually become Cuphead.
Well, it's nostalgic for Canadians, yes.
Having the chance to re-explore this world, to make something special for our fans while taking our time on the little details and making sure we're getting them just right. In so many ways, Cuphead, game and character, has been with our whole team through life's many changes. These characters have become like children of sorts, and getting a chance to take them on a new adventure to close this chapter of their story is just really exciting.
For there's a new challenge waiting around every corner on the amazing DLC Island.
2016's Oxenfree introduced the supernatural coming-of-age story of a teenage girl named Alex and her friends celebrating the end of a school year on the mysterious Edwards Island, contemplating their futures and accidentally opening a ghostly rift.
They're putting it all together.
Oxenfree 2
No,
Signals
it's too
brings
powerful.
us a different kind of coming-of-age story, one about Riley in her 30s facing the choices she made as a young adult and figuring out what comes next. This is Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals.
Lost Sigma balls.
First, we're gonna have a little fun tonight, folks. Residents of Keineahnungking have reported strange interruptions in their radio broadcasts over the phone.
411, I need visual confirmation of the clouds above Edwards Island.
Wait, Oxenfree?
Leap there. We could climb.
What was
down
Oxenfree
here.
1?
Also, it might take a little longer.
Wasn't that like
I
quite
just don't
popular or
think we can
something?
make the gap.
I remember that.
I can make it, probably.
Can you? Because
Well, we'll see, won't we?
I don't remember if I played it.
Riley! What I
remember
think
the
has
style,
allowed
though.
Oxenfree to have such a long life in the hearts of our players are these characters. It's all about the characters.
The characters of Oxenfree are intended to feel like people that you would know.
You're invested in their well-being.
The issues that they deal with are ones that everybody can relate to. What does it mean to lose somebody that you love? What does it mean to be entering a new moment of your life that you're totally unprepared for? It's open-ended enough that you can always ask yourself, what would I do in this situation?
watch your step. I don't think this was meant for tourists.
It's, sort of pretty, in a way.
No, it's amazing. In another life, I would have been a geologist. Or took at least an intro to geology course, you know?
Oxenfree is a game about
Minorist Majory has the legendary NYT is also named as mean to Roseberry Solis Strati Manmano Caliber Cats Lassie Mito Dovaki Lassie Payment Kiladovs Sita Natum August Cancy Abacan Pojaton Tolostorilla Tabacan
went to high school
dealing
with her father, dealing with a whole host of new characters that are along this coast.
Don't commit suicide for the finger Vice Night Out and King Pay, you're welcome.
You can walk to and from practically any point in town completely underground.
Have you, been down here before?
Me, personally? No. Some of the kids do. Or did. In high school. They'd crawl in here, light a fire, make out, or whatever. But I'm too little a fan of small, dark spaces to really see the desire.
I'm really looking forward to people playing with Jacob, who is their kind of main counterpart throughout the game.
You take a look at Jacob. He's got this questionable facial hair. He's got the hipster hat.
Funny how just a little light
questionable facial hair. We can't even see his face.
Weird, right?
It's so small.
And his animation also gave him that laid-back kind of, hey, I'm just hanging out here in the woods, not being creepy.
Jacob actually has direct ties to the events of Oxenfree 1, and particularly the history of Maggie Adler. Maggie was the woman that first kind of discovered what radios could do. She was the one who was kind of tied to the events that really kicked off the whole story.
Hey, if you're on this frequency.
Yes?
My mom used to tell me stories. That's why I'm calling. Because one of the stories was about tonight and the things that are going on.
The cool thing about the radio is that it opens up a whole different axis of exploration to the player. It's not just exploring Edwards Island as a space, it's exploring Edwards Island as an infinite number of kind of radio frequencies. Certain objects in the game will resonate with certain frequencies.
survived? I think. I mean, we're not dead.
The alternate timelines in the Oxen Free universe are really interesting because it allows the player to explore the possibility of going back and changing the past.
I think we're back when the mine was somewhat operational. I don't think anyone's around. Let's see if the time tear opened anything up.
The player gets to open these portals in time and go through them and talk to these other ghostly characters. Portals are getting open when they don't want it to happen, and so they've got to deal with the ramifications of that.
Portals are
missed Elden Ring 2.
Fascinating, very beautiful, very mysterious, but ultimately very dangerous.
Jacob?
Got a ring in there.
Stakes are very high for this one.
Drop my
One,
pants.
we've got a new set of antagonists who are actually actively trying to open a portal on their own for some nefarious reasons. But two, while that is happening, we're seeing tears in time. Those tears are allowing things from completely other timelines to start coming in and out of our timeline. It's going to be much less about some localized little thing in this town, and it's more about the fabric of time and space kind of melting down.
I mean, look, when you're messing with the time-space continuum, that's just a bad idea.
Space-time continuum. Is that the most overused phrase in the current century?
Riley, are you there?
In Immortality, created by Sam Barlow, full transparency, I'm a huge fan of his previous games, Her Story and Telling Lies, you don't just find one, you find 3 unreleased films spanning over 3 decades, and they all star Marissa Marcel, who has since disappeared. So, can you watch footage and behind-the-scenes clips and interviews to piece together the mystery of Marissa Marcel? This is Immortality.
Wait a second.
Marissa Marcel.
First heard about Marissa Marcel in 2015. I was at a party in Hollywood and I was listening into these old guys, writers, producers who were big in the 70s.
I think we saw something of this like a year ago, yeah?
And one of them brings up the story of Marissa Marcel. This actress who shoots 3 movies over 3 decades and how none of the movies ever comes out. I was interested, and after the party,
3 movies over 3 decades, non-released
online, but I was intrigued, so I continued to dig and attempted to.
I can't believe people call base toxic lol. Truth equals toxic lol. Also, stop watching this, please. You're gonna give yourself a brain tumor. You're insane enough, you don't need to be taking any more pills. Play Cooking Mama for the D-Spam man.
Ambrosio. And so instead of casting a recognizable face, he wanted to find some fresh talent. So he put the word out and saw, how many was it, 10,000?
I think it was over 20,000.
20,000. He saw 20,000 girls, and long story short, he picked you.
Yes.
2 years ago, we were approached by an anonymous donor who handed over this huge cache of film. In it was footage from rehearsals, behind-the-scenes B-roll, and completed shots from the shoots. As far as we can tell, this is everything that remains of the 3 Marissa Marcel movies.
Before I go, I would like some token of our friendship.
You could have walked away from this.
We brainstormed how best to use this footage, how to make it available to the world. So first we very carefully cleaned and scanned all of the film, digitizing everything. But there were enough gaps where we weren't able to cut full movies.
So we took some of the ideas from my earlier games, Her Story and Telling Lies, the idea of a more exploratory way of viewing film stories, and we built on that. We created a virtual movieola, a way of looking through the footage as if you were back in the editing suite with Arthur Fisher or John Durick. And to build on this idea, we came up with a new mechanic, a kind of visual concordance.
Does this work as confession?
Exploration by match cut.
Good work.
What the fuck is
when you're
this
watching
game
at any
about?
point, you can stop and point to an image, an actor, a prop, and the system will create a match cut to another piece of footage with that image.
Now it's worth more.
So you kind of surf through the footage in a way, following a breadcrumb trail of visuals, creating your own montage. It's both expressive and exploratory, like the best of video games. When you have a situation like this, where no one really knows what happened to Marissa Marcel, people tend to fill in their blanks. Their imagination goes to dark places. I would not use the word haunted.
I mean, we played quite a bunch of movie games, but this looks too fucking... I don't know. I don't know how to phrase it.
Do you ever wish you lived in a simpler, safer, more optimistic time? Trevor Hill does. He lives in Arcadia, a utopian American town in the 1970s. The future seems brighter than ever. Like the other citizens of Arcadia, he is a contestant on a reality show where viewers are secretly judging his every move. When Trevor learns the truth from the rogue technician, he goes on the run. But how do you escape in a world
That's the
where
only E3 we got, man.
En American Arcadia, nada es lo que parece.
Now in its 55th season, American Arcadia.
Y es que Arcadia es en realidad el reality show más visto del planeta y está gobernado por rankings de popularidad.
Control subject on the run on camera 4025.
Broadcast
immediately.
Bienvenidos a Arcadia, una ciudad retrofuturista de los 70, donde todos los ciudadanos disfrutan de una vida de confort y de lujos sin saber que están siendo grabados las 24 horas del día. Para nuestro protagonista Trevor, que vive una vida simple, aburrida y feliz, esto es un problema.
Life was mundane.
Y cuando descubre la verdad, tendrá que escapar de Arcadia.
Stop immediately.
Run! Keep running for God's sake.
Por otro lado está Ángela, es el ángel de la guarda de Trevor. Es una hacker dispuesta a todo con tal de salvar a una persona normal, por el mero hecho de hacer el bien.
The hallway to the server room is tracked by 3 surveillance cameras. I need to get close to the cameras and upload the loop footage from my cell phone.
Uno de los puntos fuertes de American Arcadia es la dualidad entre Ángela y Trevor. Y eso también se ha intentado transmitir en cierta manera al game.
Get over that crane, Trevor, quick!
Don't smash it.
The crane! Yes, trust me!
Oh no, no.
Tenemos dos tipos de gameplay totalmente diferenciados. Por un lado tenemos el side-scroller, el 2.5D, con acción y plataformeo, persecuciones y, como no, puzzles. Por otro lado tenemos la jugabilidad en primera persona, con un tono un poco más pausado, que nos lleva a experimentar mecánicas de exploración, sigilo y hacking, usando siempre los puzzles como parte central de la jugabilidad.
All the videos are
could have been
uploaded and
something
playing the
maybe,
loops.
but
I
it
can enter
just
the server
looks...
room now.
Ugh.
Y bueno, para American Arcadia,
Ay, Quantathon with a 20 gifted. Thank you very much. Congratulations to all the lucky plebs. Christmas came early inside your mama.
Lo cierto es
Muchas
que muchos de los
gracias.
miembros del equipo nacimos y crecimos durante la década de los 70, por lo que no hemos tenido que ir muy lejos a la hora de buscar inspiración y referencias visuales, puesto que la mayoría las llevamos ya dentro de nuestros propios recuerdos. Muchos de los programas de televisión, series, concursos, etcétera, que veíamos en nuestra niñez, pues están presentes de alguna manera en American Arcadia. Una visión bastante brillante y colorida de lo que serían los años 70. Los personajes, los ambientes, incluso el mobiliario, representan esta versión utópica y bastante kitsch de una ciudad de los años 70.
Siempre me gusta tener un tema principal para el juego y diferentes leitmotivs
para
los
games.
diferentes personajes que se van uniendo en una única banda sonora, donde se van mezclando y representarán los dos mundos, tanto el de los 70 como el del futuro, mezclando elementos electrónicos y orquestales.
Hey, I can't see anything in here.
Jeez, man, just hug your teddy bear real tight while I try to turn on the lights, okay? Okay, is that better? Now, let's try to find a way out of here. Trevor, are you wheezing? You're in terrible shape, man. Don't you get any exercise at all?
No, not since PE in high school. Because of my metabolism, I don't easily gain weight, so I don't usually do any...
Okay, I'm not here to judge your lifestyle or your dietary habits. Just save your breath and keep going.
In American Arcadia, what we want to tell is that you don't need to live just for getting likes on social networks. Just do the things that make you happy. You don't need to care about what the others think.
Forsen, are you listening to this smoke? 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 Forsen, are you listening to this smoke?
I hear it, I hear it, I hear it. Well, that was interesting. One playable game. Terrible games. GG. That's it. Well, that is unfortunate. Alright. Well, let's hope the future gives us more. What is tomorrow? Games Radar with Gerald and Jennifer.
Why the fuck
hosting.
do they cut teasers like this? They show a game with interesting ideas and a good concept, and then they find a way to turn it into the 5 millionth side-scroller.
Yeah, I mean, they're limited by funding, so easy 2.5D side-scroller with very simple puzzles and then some hacking mechanic with simple puzzles in first person. Every like good concept can't be brought to life in the perfect way because of funding. It's a fucking all the AAA fucking companies are just pumping out fucking gacha and fucking mobile games now. Pay to win stuff. What you gonna do? I'm noticing it on Steam too. The amount of fucking indie developers releasing little games has gone down like 5,000% since 2 years ago or something. It's fucking nuts. COVID. It's not COVID. It's just that I don't even know what it is. Fucking the Titans are just sucking up all the player bases. Like fucking Fortnite and League and WoW, and people are just sticking to what works. There's no good games left. It's time to retire. Well, I can always watch shitty E3 presentations. So there's that. Alright. Surely you're going to play Terraria within 10 years. Yes. It's coming up on the next sub-only stream. It's gonna be fucking lit, man. It's gonna be blind, permadeath, master. New game from Until Dawn, Quarry. Yeah, so after E3 is done, I'll be playing it because I don't want interruptions. It's a 6-hour playthrough, right? Or what is it? What is the playthrough? Oh, it's more than 6 hours. It's 9 to 10 hours. 9 to 10 hours. Oh well, that's fine. That's fine. That's 5 hours. That's 2 streams then two streams exactly without interruption. It's dog shit. I still want to try it. It's until dawn, so take my money, and then you have either lost my trust or earned some more trust. We'll see. I'll be the judge of that. I'll be the judge of that, man. Alright, but fuck that. And fuck Mario Strikers. That shit was lagging like a fucking ball sack on Nintendo Online. $60 by the way. Thanks. Fucking shite. We do some Gaben.